Welcome back to the SilmFilm script discussion, season 2. We're going back a bit, though. This is actually also episode 2, and maybe more, because we've been sent back to the drawing board a little bit. So
that's our lot in life.
It happens.
Yes, it does. It does happen. This is probably one of the more extensive ones that we still had time to go back and fix.
Right.
Because I think there were a few pretty major changes they were asking for in season 1, but by the time that we discussed it,
it's like, oh well.
It's too late.
Yeah.
This is all we got right now. And we may want to go back and revisit those at some other time, but
Not now.
Yeah, now is not the time. The train's still coming behind us.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, we did just take a bit of a break recently because I was on vacation last week. Must be nice. Yes, yes. Says the guy who lives on an island near the equator on the other side of the planet. Yeah, we're back in episode 2. And episode 2 was the episode with the ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of go over what the outline that we put together for episode 2 was, we had the Valar's discussion to bring the elves over to Valinor. We followed that by Orome wandering through the elven settlement before delivering the invitation for 3 ambassadors, and I believe naming them also, choosing the 3 ambassadors. And we depicted Finwë kind of wrestling with the with the question of whether to go or whether to not go. We had Miriel objecting to his going, him going anyway.
Yep.
And we focused a lot on Finwë during this episode. However, the host didn't like that. They felt that it made Finwë seem a little too wishy-washy, which I guess you can make the case for. So instead of working on that, we're instead shifting the focus of the episode to the Valar.
Mm. Yeah,
I
do.
That was my understanding of what they were asking for as well. I don't think they minded the storyline with Finwë so much as they wanted it to be resolved much faster.
Yeah, they wanted it to be smaller.
I think they were fine with him having some doubts and second guesses and being unsure, but once he saw what Valinor was, they didn't want him to be wandering around Valinor mopey. They just wanted to kind of have him realize, oh, okay, this is what it is, and then get to that point of making a decision a little faster. And since we had made him the protagonist and therefore made the climax of the episode, him deciding it was okay, we had to kind of hold off on that till the very end in our structure, and they did not approve, which fair enough.
It's their show.
Yeah.
Right.
What was there? It was not just the Valar though. They had a specific thing that they wanted to, but I don't recall what it was. What was the focus that they wanted?
When we asked what we should be doing in Valinor, they said, well, you don't want to focus on the ambassadors just being tourists and exploring Valinor. So focus on the Valar's reaction to meeting the elves, meeting the children for the first time, and see if that makes any changes to their debate at the beginning of whether or not to invite them there.
Yeah.
So it was to kind of keep it a little bit more Valar-centric. Also, we're supposed to have a scene with Melian and Radagast and possibly Gandalf discussing the possibility of going over to Middle-earth. So, like, going in the other direction.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think Gandalf, like, putting Gandalf in that conversation is a little too haha.
On the nose.
Yeah, like, check it out. Look at all these famous people that you know. that are,
or these two famous people that this one famous person, this one person you may have heard of, and this other person you have never heard of.
Yeah,
they're not that.
Still a little
there is that
adorable. Like, if you want to have a big conversation with several people, I think that's fine. I think having just those three in the conversation is still a little bit too like, oh, they're gonna go someday. Just you wait.
Yes, and that was the reason to drag those other names into the conversation, is because they're people who will go someday. Yeah. But I agree that we can try to work into that organically rather than drop those three characters in.
Do you think that there was really an objection to the Miriel scenes back in Quevenin? Because they did seem to object to the idea of her being a Bronte character.
The objection seemed to be that Finwë was making decisions based on what he thought she would let him do.
Right.
And that does weaken his character and just look unpleasant. So I don't think there's any problem with showing her back in Quevenin and seeing what her reactions are, but we can't let that determine Finwë's choices.
So he should make life decisions for her without consent or concern for her opinion. That makes a lot more sense.
I did not say that. I said
that's a crisis for them as a couple. It's not a matter of, like Corey kept saying the wife's not gonna go for it. You know what I mean? And that I think is definitely the angle that we want to avoid. It needs to be, they need to be torn. Like I think they both kind of need to be like, this is really important, and apparently I'm gonna be, or Finwë is gonna be the one that needs to do this. But like, what does that mean for us? That's a question that they have to like hash out.
I think we can develop their long-distance relationship with zero communication they're both moving in separate directions now. And then episode 3 is where we would have to resolve that with bringing them back to the same place.
Right.
So it wasn't so much that she can't have doubts or he has to ignore her opinion, because it's not like he's going to say, well, all the elves are coming here and I don't care what Miriel thinks. Like, that's not where he's going to end up either. Right. More so, he's going to come to the realization of, this is where we're supposed to be. We should come here. That's the right choice. Now I need to go home and talk to Miriel about that and see how that's going to work out. But like, he has to make the choice of, this is the right thing, not go, it looks good, but I really just need to go home and talk to her first before I make any decisions. Like, he can't say that.
Yeah.
I agree that there's some issues here. Here's the problem, though. Mm-hmm. If the conflict isn't Finwë's conflict, then when, like, the stuff with Miriel especially the scene where she flips out on Morwe, is, if it's unnecessary fluff. It becomes useless because it's not. We don't get a cathartic resolution to that.
Right, until the 3rd episode.
Yeah, I mean, they do see each other at the very end of this episode.
Yes, but if that's not, if that's more of a tag, and we don't really emphasize on it.
Yeah,
because otherwise it's a second ending, which
right
now. The ambassador's storyline has become the B plot, and Quevenin has become the C plot.
Right.
That's what's happened, or like that seems to be.
So you're right. You're gonna cut a lot of the fluff regarding like Miriel's development and how she deals with the fact that he's not there. That's gonna kind of get cut way down.
Now,
means,
but I actually think that an easier way to fix it is instead of giving Miriel an arc where you can keep the scene where she flips out on Morwe. The scene to cut is actually the scene where he's kind of like cozying up to her. Because if you take that scene out, then the other scene is just it's establishing
Her state of mind.
Right, it's establishing her state of mind so that when they get back, her being excited to see him doesn't look weird because the last time they saw each other,
she wasn't hundreds of years ago.
Right, yeah, 100 years ago.
And the other opportunity there is to, instead of focusing on the Morwe character, which I don't have a problem with introducing him in this episode, it makes sense too, because we're going to need him in the next episode.
Yes.
But the other option is to spend a little bit more time with Miriel's family.
Yeah, that would be good.
Because we definitely wanted them to be the antagonistic force in the beginning of the third episode.
So maybe the sister Tatier, I think was the name that was given.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that could loop into the why are you waiting for someone who's not coming back idea. Like that could be, we could do something with it that shows what life at Cuiven looks like without the ambassadors there, without it being too much of a storyline and more of a meanwhile back at Cuiven.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem necessarily with Meanwhile Back in Cuiven in any way. Like, we only get basically 2 episodes of Cuiven, and I think kind of the more we can establish Cuiven as kind of a imperfect but simpler time, the better off we're going to be when we start thinking back to Cuiven and when we get to characters like Feanor.
Okay. All right. So that kind of solves that issue.
Well, we have our main conflict that we don't really have anymore.
Right. So let's get to work on that.
Yeah.
Right. So here's the issue, and I guess kind of the conflict is going to have to inform the protagonist rather than the other way around this time. Like, there's no change that's going to take place. They're not going to turn from let's bring the elves over to Valinor to let's not bring the elves over to Valinor.
Right.
Like that's not going to happen. So one of 2 things has to happen. Either we have to get somebody who doesn't want to bring the elves over to Valinor to let's bring the elves to Valinor.
Yeah.
Or we have to get somebody from
the yes camp to become in the no camp.
Yeah, right. Or at least to have doubts, which is not nearly as strong. It's not nearly as strong a conflict because if they just going from yeah to it's not nearly as powerful.
Okay, the most powerful voice for no is going to be Olmo.
Yep.
So
right.
Olmo is going to be against this idea even after all the other Valar agree to it and make it happen. Like, he's still kind of working against this idea throughout the rest of the season.
Yes. However,
or the series.
However, he does help get them there.
Exactly.
So okay, I think I see. Go on, because I think I see where you're going now.
So Olmo's choices have to be in line with the Valar while not agreeing with them. So he's obviously going through some conflicts and things that we can touch on at various times. I don't think he goes anywhere in particular in this episode, though.
Nope.
So I don't know how to make a story for this episode of how we set up that.
Hey, look who we've got. Hey.
Yay!
Hi, Karita.
That is a very nice ceiling.
Yeah. Let me see. It gets better.
Ooh, that's very pretty.
Yeah. That out.
Nice.
And it's, the bookcase. And
Yes, I recognize the bookcase. I recognize the wall. There's no knitting lance in the back.
No knitting lance. But yeah.
All right. So Hey.
I think I saw Karita.
We'll see how long this lasts. It tends to crap out if I have the camera on at the same time. So
Okay.
we'll see.
All righty. We'll do what we can. So what we've done so far, the tremendous progress that we've made is we've cut the Morwe sidles up to Miriel scene.
Okay.
All right, because
Okay.
since the Finway isn't sure what's going to happen when he goes back to tell Miriel about this arc is no longer the important arc of the story. We don't need to show an arc for Miriel over the course of the episode. It's okay to just show that she's expecting him to come home and that they're going to work out whatever their issues are.
Okay.
So if we're going to make Olmo our protagonist and make the conflict him turning from this is a terrible idea to okay, I don't agree with this, but I'm going to do whatever I can to make this work. Well, what I mean, because he does do that.
Yeah.
He apparently is
protagonist, really.
He's apparently sending dreams to the elves at Queviena and telling them not to go, because that's going to come up in the debate of like, I had this dream and it's a premonition not to go.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I hate that. Anyway.
I'm not saying anyway.
So here,
Which
I think we should really go hard on. This is our last. This is our last sort of Valar episode forever, possibly.
Well, except episode 8, they don't want the elves to have anything.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the but that's.
And also episode 11 is going to be pretty Valar-centric, apparently.
But that's well into the season.
Yeah,
so
this is the handoff of Valar from season 1, handing off the show to the elves in season 2. Yes.
So I think what we really should have a much more divided group.
Well, we do. We have. Okay, let's see if we can go over again who was on whose side in the debate. Right. You had Olmo was firmly in the no camp.
Yeah.
Okay. You have Orome firmly in the yes camp.
Mm-hmm. Ale is also in the yes camp.
Ale is in the yes camp, absolutely.
Yavanna is kind of iffy between.
Yavanna starts out in the yes camp, then somebody's like, well, if you go back to Middle Earth, you're going to have to leave the trees. And she's like, well, I don't want that either.
Yeah.
Right. So she has opinions on both sides.
Right.
Vanna is against.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that. She's agreeing with her sister and disagreeing with her husband.
Right, because that's going to go well.
Varda, I feel like should be 4.
Varda and Manwe, we didn't really.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, Manwe, I think it was decided weighs in at the end of doesn't weigh in during the debate. He just weighs in at the end of it.
Yeah.
No, that's Mandos.
Well, yes. No. Mandos doesn't weigh in at all. He just says, "So this is going to happen then."
Yeah. So
that's not weighing in.
Yeah.
That feels like what I do in this team. I'm like, so that's going to happen then. Most of the team, I accept it.
Hey, it could be worse. I'm the guy who says, hey, so here's the problem. What do you think we should do about it? People give ideas, and then I say, okay, so we're going to do this thing that somebody else cleverly came up with.
So
I feel like you're Manwe in this situation. Like I kind of think Manwe should say, like, here's our dilemma. Let me frame it very succinctly for everybody. Now talk amongst yourselves, and I'll tell you what we'll do.
So who are you?
Yeah.
In this case, Brian's Olmo.
You're Olmo. Yes.
I'm the naysaying.
You're Olmo.
Rude.
Everybody loves Olmo.
Olmo's the greatest.
He's the greatest.
Because he still cares about Middle Earth when nobody else does.
But I can't be Olmo and Feanor at the same time. Like nobody's that cool.
It's a book about magic. Of course you can be. What is it?
All right.
Spoiler alert.
We're getting
Feanor doesn't live very
sidetracked.
long.
We're getting sidetracked here.
Yeah, because
okay.
that's never happened before.
Oh no, never. Absolutely.
Don't forget to check the time, by the way.
Yeah, I have a timer going. It should be going off any minute now. So all right, who else can we put on the Olmo camp?
Like I think we're okay. I think we're okay as far as like where people are going to come down in the debate, but I think we need to figure out where people are starting in the debate, and I think we need way more no people. Like there should be very much talking over one another and kind of shouting, and then somebody like says, wait, let me say this one thing, and then people respond to that again.
Right. Well, that I feel like, because Orome, I think, makes the final and most persuasive argument, I think, that it's not safe for them.
Yeah.
Middle Earth is not a safe place right now, which is which is their most legitimate argument to bring the elves to Valinor.
I think we should start with that, actually. Like, he should be the one delivering. He should be the one saying, like, look, the children are here. We have to bring them here.
Yeah, but now you're saying that he should lead with their most persuasive argument and then go down to less persuasive arguments later.
Well, I mean, that's a debate, right? Like, I think, because I can't imagine.
Go on.
Is that your timer?
That's okay. Go on. Finish your thought.
All right. I can't imagine. I'm having trouble. Like, I guess you could start with, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could bring them here and show them all the cool stuff we've done? But that seems like so, I don't know, like tiptoe through the daisies kind of.
Then let Ole voice that opinion, and it won't sound like tiptoeing through the daisies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think he can be. I think Orme can say, like, this is a pressing need, and then Ale is like, no, this is not just a pressing need. This is an opportunity, right? Like, this is going to be great. You guys, this is going to be so awesome that we're going to get to bring them here and teach them stuff and get them show off all the cool stuff we've done. Like, show them how we've been doing God's will here. Like, you know what I mean? I would love for him to be the voice of optimism when everybody's all doom and gloom, like, oh man, the children are going to get murdered by, beasts. We got to do something. All
right. Well, real quick, by the way, everybody say hi to the Witch King, who is watching currently.
Our biggest fan.
All right. Well, we're just in tight for us to take a break real quick. We'll be back in a second. If you're watching this on YouTube in the future, definitely like and share the videos if you like and want to share them. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe. And if you want to let us know about things that we're getting wrong, feel free to comment about it. Maybe we'll answer.
The website.
We'll be back in a little bit, everybody.